Stories are the two sides of a coin. My name is Osadumebi, and every week I would tell you a short story written by a Nigerian writer or author. That's the long and short of it. So without much ado, this week's story is by Victor Olugbemiro, and it's titled Fool's Gold. She looked up from her computer, and it took a lot of self-control to keep from gawking. The definition of ugly was standing in front of her. In complexion, he was not dark. He was black. Crisp black. Like a malicious burnt offering to the gods from disgruntled worshippers. Not only was he black, his mouth always curved into an O, no matter what he said. These and so many other things which could go wrong with a guy were the entirety of this guy standing before her. Effie could not help but wonder why she had to be the one stuck with such a horrendous sight as her first customer on a Monday morning. Pushing all her observations aside, she attended to him like a robot, wearing a plastic smile like she was paid to do. "Good morning, sir. Please take a seat. My name is Effie. How may I help you?" He took his seat. He wanted to open an account. After talking him through the procedure, she gave him the necessary forms to fill out and buried her head behind her computer, hoping that would be the end of the encounter. But no. Instead of the customer to fill his form in silence, he started a conversation. "Your face looks pretty familiar, you know?" Oh no. Was he trying to chat her up? And with that line, God. Today of all days, when we had the sadist sent from head office to complete a customer satisfaction survey, she could see him prancing around the banking hall like he owned the place. She had no choice but to maintain the plastic smile, which was beginning to hurt. This was so not the beginning of the bright and cheery week she had pictured in her mind when she was in church yesterday, and the handsome Pastor Moses was prophesying good things for the coming week. She sighed. Pastor Moses. Tall. Dreamy eyes. Thick hair. Sharp dresser. Hunk of a "So, when will you be free for dinner?" His question snapped her out of her reverie. "Excuse me?" she replied, looking up in time to catch his whole mouth close. She blinked at him, clueless. How on earth could he have moved so quickly, from familiar face to free for dinner? He repeated himself. "Here, Pastor James said it though, that enemies of progress would come disguised in various forms. This one did not even bother disguising himself. If not for where she was, she would have unleashed the arsenal of insults she reserved for people like him. Instead, still smiling, she said jokingly, "With the nature of this job, will I ever be free?" Undaunted, he dropped his card on the table as he got up to leave and asked her to give him a call whenever she could find the time. "Okay," she responded as she flung the card into her drawer without even as much as a glance. She allowed him step out of the banking hall before she released a hiss a rattlesnake would be jealous of. "Thunder fire, you bad market." As he stepped out of the banking hall, he began to whistle. He had not felt so light-headed in a long time. The pretty face who attended to him in the bank was dancing before his eyes, and her cherubic smile, which didn't waver for a second, was turning his insides to jelly and making his heart melt like butter in a hot frying pan. Surely she must have enjoyed his little chit-chat, for though she did not contribute, she never stopped smiling. He could spend the rest of his life gazing into those hypnotic eyes which blinked innocently, adding a certain quality to the smile. And those dimples. He had definitely encountered the definition of beauty today. He was happy with himself for being able to overcome his usual shyness and start a conversation even though it was mostly one-sided. The fact she kept his card in her drawer, unlike many others who tossed it in the trash right in his presence, gave him hope. Even if she got too busy to call, he knew where to find her. As far as he was concerned, judging from her body language, the stage was set for a romantic journey which he foresaw leading all the way to the altar. With all these happy thoughts in his mind, he got into his car and drove off to his next engagement. He approached the rest of his day with the enthusiasm of Romeo as he approached Juliet's window. Victor is a writer who resides in Lagos. He is a teacher and ed-tech consultant. He enjoys traveling and photography. You can read more of his work on WordPress at Surutu and connect with him on X at Oluviki. Details and links will be in the episode description. If you've got a story you would like to be featured on this podcast, or a published book you want to make into an audiobook, send an email to info@osadumebi.com or send me a message at Osadumebi on either Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or X. I look forward to collaborating with you. And if you've enjoyed this week's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and tell someone, everyone, that stories are a good escape for a few minutes each week.